Friends, one of the most often questions I get is what do I think is the best EDC knife or everyday carry knife style out there today? And while my channel is slap full of these case knives and jig bone and all the beautiful glorious colors and patterns, they really are not the most practical knife available today for EDC use. And I rarely carry these because I find that the modern knives are much more practical. So today I'd like to set aside the case knife and show you what the modern knives have to offer that make them much more practical for daily use. But before we do, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it to any of your friends that might like similar knife content. It's what keeps the channel going. Thank you. So like most of you, I started my knife hobby with simple slip joints like the Sodbuster Junior here. And I had slip joints in other patterns with 2 blades, 3 blades, clip points, sheep's foot blades, all different styles. But as my hobby grew, I started getting into more modern knives. And here's a modern slip joint. This is a Spyderco Grasshopper. It's a little bit more of a keychain knife. It's not something you'd want to whittle with, but it's still a slip joint. Now the next one up is a Dragonfly 2, and it's a lockback. That lockback is going to give you a little bit more safety, keep that blade from closing on you. It also has a Spidey hole where you can open it one-handed like that. Now it's a little difficult to close with one hand, but with practice you can do it. You just got to be careful because these things are razor sharp and they will get your pinky if you don't get it out of the way in time. Alright, so the next knife up is another Spyderco. This is the Para 3 lightweight, and that Spidey hole makes it nice and easy to open one-handed. And this one has a compression lock. Check out the little lever here in the back that engages with a notch in the blade. So as you open it, see how it comes over and snaps into that blade right there? It's a very strong feature. And you can open and close that blade all day long with one hand, very easy. Now this ZT0562, this is what you call a flipper knife. And it has a frame lock. And you open it by pressing this button like a light switch. Alright, as you can see, it's a little bit noisy, so you might alert people in public if you go to open it. And in order to close it, you have to slide this side of the frame back out and disengage the blade. Here, so let me show you how see, it'll snap like there into place. You have to push it back over. Alright, and it's got titanium on the back with ball bearings. Now you can't open it with the thumb studs. They're not really thumb studs. So you have to use that switch. And like I said, it might shock some people in public when you go flipping a flipper out. So just beware of that style knife. You can't really open it slowly unless you use 2 hands. Okay? A little bit more maintenance. Got to keep them clean so they flip good. Next up is this Bitchmade tagged out. Now this one has a hole in the blade like the Spidey hole. It's nice and easy to open, just not as big. Alright, and it also has what they call an access lock. So it's got this little bar right here that protrudes out both sides. And you can grab that and you pull that back out and that disengages the blade. And it's got a spring that pushes it forward that engages the blade to keep it locked in. And I think this is what made Benchmade very popular, this lock right here. And it seems to be a very durable lock, similar to the compression lock on the Spyderco. I think it's probably just as durable. See how that engages right there? Pretty cool, huh? Alright, good knife right here. Alright, easy to open and close one-handed, very light. Real nice modern rendition of a blade there. This is Spyderco's version of the lock, I guess. It's called a ball detent. Now this one has a spring and a ball bearing in there that engages the blade. Looks similar but works a little differently. If you look closely here, I'm going to try to show it to you on the camera. You can actually see that spring in there. Now, when I got this Mannix 2, it was very stiff. It was very hard to open and close the knife because it was so stiff. I lubricated it and worked it and loosened it up. But if I let the knife sit for more than a few weeks, it does seem to get stiff again. So it needs that daily attention to it to keep everything working nice and free. See that spring in there? All right, so you got to keep that thing clean of dirt too. All right, make everything function right. So that's one downside to that. All right, so here is a balisong or a butterfly knife. All right, that's back from the 80s. I think everybody's familiar with them. That's a one-handed knife, and that's not a modern knife. I just brought that out for shits and giggles, okay? Here's another flipper, another ZT. It's got the same style frame lock. This is just a 4-inch version. All right, and it's got carbon fiber on the handle, which dresses it up. Now, one side's only titanium. All right, but the other side's got that beautiful carbon fiber. So if you want to dress them up, you can, some of the modern knives have carbon fiber and stuff like this compared to the jig bone on the case. But it's only on one side on this ZT. So it's got a proud side and a not so proud side. Now this Spyderco PM2, I've had this. This is the knife I had for over 10 years, and it's got paper micarta handles on it, and it's gorgeous. Now here's another style knife. This is a automatic. It's not an out in the front, but it's a button lock here. And you can see that plunger in there that engages and disengages the knife. You see it snap into place there. Now the problem with this knife is it's got that spring load. So without practice, it's going to be hard to open and close one hand. And now it opens nice and fast one-handed like that, see? But you got to use the other hand to close it. Not the PM2. The PM2, you can open and close that. You can half close it, half open it, whatever you want to do. And that PM2 makes less noise than this blade here, because everybody's going to hear that when you open that. All right, PM2 is nice and quiet. That one's noisy too, just as well. Now, all of these are going to be stronger and safer than a slip joint, because they're not going to close on your hand when you try to bore into something. Another advantage that the modern knife has, let's line them all up here together, and maybe you'll guess what I'm fixing to talk about. That grasshopper doesn't apply, but the rest of these do. And that is, they all have a pocket clip. This is the only one that's not deep carry. It sticks out, but that small knife doesn't need to be deep carry. That can go in your guitar pick pocket. The rest of these are deep carry. This one here's a factory ZT. So almost that whole knife will go in your pocket and you won't be able to see it. But it keeps it up top and not in the bottom. It's not going to get full of change and rattle around with your keys and everything. This one's here's a factory on the Boker. Look at that. Now that one's got a pretty long one. Now here is a aftermarket Lynch Northwest. This one is not completely deep carry, but this PM2 is. That clip actually goes higher than the knife, so that whole knife will be down inside your pocket. That's another Lynch Northwest. This one here is a factory Spyderco clip. See how it's not super deep carry? You got 3/4 of an inch of that knife sticking out of your pocket. And it's not shaped very nice. I can't believe they still sell these like that. That Lynch Northwest aftermarket clip makes the PM2 way nicer. It kind of goes into your hand. It's not sticking out in the grip. And let me show you the other one here. See how that's sticking out? So your hand has to wrap around that. You totally feel that. You don't feel that other clip. And that clip's longer, so more of your hand, more of a hot spot. So, but it's still more than the slip joint has, because the slip joint don't have a pocket clip, does it? All right, so what else? Well, the grip of the jig bone on the slip joint. That gives you a lot of traction, right? So let's see what the modern knife does for traction. All right, let's start out with this Dragonfly 2. It has this bidirectional texturing on these fiberglass reinforced nylon handles. It's very grippy and very strong. It comes in any color you want. Here's a black version. Same thing. If you go one direction, it grips one way. As you go the other, it grips another way. And then Spyderco is real smart. They put a little flat pad underneath the pocket clip so it don't rip your jeans. This Benchmade here it's orange Grivory. It's got traction all over it. It even has jimping. See how it's got little knobs right here? They call that jimping. And that gives you even more traction. And then here on the back, more jimping, even on the steel of the blade. See it? It all gives you all kinds of traction. Great control. Even on the sides right there where you can pinch up and get your finger right up there next to the blade. Pretty nice, huh? That's a modern knife for you. Alright, so this one here, another ZT with the titanium on the one side. Because of that frame lock, as I was saying earlier, you don't get a cover on both sides. You only get the cover on one side. This is G10. And that G10 is impervious to any chemicals or anything like that. And I've never had one break. It's a very durable product. Gives you great traction. It's just only on one side on that. So that's the downside of the ZTs. See, same as this one. I mentioned it before. You got beautiful carbon fiber, but not on both sides. I did change out that pocket clip. It had a black one, and I changed it to a titanium one to match the titanium back. That's an MSG gear. I think it looks a lot better on there. I do like this knife. It's a 4-inch knife, so it's illegal in some places, but I'm in Florida, so I can carry that all day long if I want. Nice knife. All right, Manix 2 here. It's got the FRN handles as well. See how they come in all the different colors you want? Now this is an aluminum handle. It's painted on the Boker, but it doesn't feel tinny like you would think an aluminum handle. I guess the paint and everything on it and the texturing is really nice. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. You can see the texturing that they have on the aluminum there. It really gives it a good feel. You know, you wouldn't think just a metal handled knife would feel good, but it does. And you can paint those up any way you want, any color you want. They do get scratched though, so hard use. They're going to look pretty rough after a while. This is a collector here. It's supposed to be Boba Fett, so I'm going to not use that and just keep that for my collection. Here's another Spyderco, but this one has micarta handles. I think it's burlap micarta. The fish pattern one down there is paper micarta. This one here. See, it's got a little fish pattern, 2D fish pattern on there. Pretty cool, gives you good traction. And believe it or not, these micarta handles actually get grippier as they get wet. So that's another advantage. And I like to keep everything oiled up good with my One Angry Kid premium knife oil and protectant. It keeps everything protected and keeps all the scales looking nice and shiny without being greasy. Works very well for me. I like it. Now another advantage is all the modern knife steels you get. Everything from Oz 8 to CPM 154 to LMAX, CTS-B D1N, CPN M4, VG10, CPN S30V, CPN S35V, and here's CPN Crewwear. So what a hodgepodge of steels. You know, anything you want's available. Another advantage is, like these Spydercos, is you can clean it out all the way through. It's a box frame, so you can get a Q-tip in from the back, get in there and clean it out. A lot of times I'll flush these under hot water in the sink, let them dry out, then grease them up or oil them up with my premium lube. Well, that's one nice thing there. Now, some of them don't, like this Manax, okay? It's got a boxed in back just because it doesn't have a complete frame, so they need that back spacer in there to make it a little bit sturdier. But it's very lightweight. That's what you get to trade. So you can still get in there with a Q-tip and clean it out, but it's not as handy as the box frame versions. Most of the Benchmades, all the ZTs, most of the Spydercos are like that. Another advantage is the weight. I mean, pretty much every comparable modern knife to a traditional, at least case, you're saving a lot of weight on them. You know, there's Copperlock 2.93. We compare that to the Para 3 lightweight, 2.5 ounce lighter, right? Now, this modern knife's all stainless, so it's a little bit heavier, but it still comes in right there at the same weight. Let's check out this big Panama Trapper, 5.91 ounces, okay? Look at this, 2.15. You can have two of those in your pocket for the same weight as that big Panama Trapper. So, that's my thoughts. I appreciate y'all checking out the video. Please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Thanks again for viewing.